Hey everybody, it's Bob and Andrea Burnham, missionaries with Mission to the World in Odessa, Ukraine. And instead of doing a newsletter, we thought this time we'd come and give you a little bit more personal update on what's been happening with us. Most of you know that we are no longer in Odessa. 3 months ago, we left once the war began and we came to Brașov, Romania, which is just about 10 hours from Odessa.
Drive.
10 hours drive. And we have settled in Brașov, which many of you may not have heard of. However, it's the second largest city in Romania after Bucharest. And actually, we're on the outskirts of Brașov in a little town called Codlia. It's very nice, right next to the mountains. I'm looking out the windows at beautiful Transylvanian mountain ranges right now. And it's an interesting place. A lot of Roma people here, if you're familiar with that term. And,
Lots of horse-drawn wagons that cart hay and different goods through the
people.
city, and people.
We have beautiful fields of canola and wheat all around us. So it's a restful place that we've enjoyed being. But our reason for being here is not to be getting rest. It's to help the displaced Ukrainians who are here from Odessa and Nikolaev and Belgorod and Izmail, all through southern Ukraine. When the war began, many of them needed a place to go to, and they heard that we were here. So they have gathered here as well. And our job is now to minister to the displaced Ukrainians from our church, and not just from our church, but from that area.
We're trying to reach out to other Ukrainians that have come from different cities that we're not familiar with or that weren't linked with our churches and communities there.
Right. So we are ministering to them physically, emotionally, spiritually, and we'll go through each of those and kind of share how we're doing that. And we're also ministering to the people who are still in Ukraine. There's a law that says that those men between 18 and 60 are not able to leave Ukraine. So we are continuing to travel back to Ukraine. I got a car. And it's funny, we were here for 25 years and never needed a car. And now that we're not living in Ukraine, we had to get a car. So we have a car and we're able to drive back and forth into Ukraine now and bring humanitarian aid and help to those people there. Mm-hmm. But as far as ministering to the people of Ukraine who are in Romania, physically, that was the first 6 weeks of our time here. Physically, we were just helping people travel here, helping them get settled into places where they could live. God has blessed us so much with a really good situation. We were able to put almost everyone in one apartment complex. And so there's a community now of Ukrainians. They speak Ukrainian or Russian with each other. They help each other out.
The Romanian government has actually put through a lot of programs into that region or that area that they can access, and they have a chat group there at the building where they're all housed and can share information and resources about education or job opportunities. A couple of them have gotten jobs. So just daily lives were interrupted by the war, and several of the people that I talked with, especially from our own churches, had appointments scheduled all around the end of February that were completely canceled. They had to leave their cities. They didn't have their medications renewed, or they had problems that erupted after leaving, maybe brought on by stress, maybe just already there that they were dealing with dental issues, heart issues, diabetics. And we actually had some women that needed to go see a gynecologist, and one of the women there with me confided at that time, now it's out, but that she needed to see a gynecologist because she believed she was pregnant, and her husband was far away and she was alone here. So
yeah, we found that most of the people here obviously have had to leave their husbands back in Ukraine. This particular woman had a husband in New York.
And they're here now.
And
he came and surprised her. They were working through a visa to go to the States. She went down for her interview with the United States Embassy, and he surprised her in Bucharest and showed up, and he's here for a couple of weeks with her. That's very exciting. We just saw them at church, a couple of
Some yesterday.
like yesterday and the week before, and there have been some wonderful churches that have donated baby blankets and things like that. I think you can see some of them in the background there. Little play texture blankets, things like that. And I had seen one that was crocheted that was beautiful blue and yellow, and I saved it out for her because at
Ukraine
the
colors.
time I didn't, it wasn't really put out there, but I knew that she was pregnant. So I was so excited to give that to her last week with her husband there. And she was very excited to receive
We
it.
had another lady.
I think that was St. Andrews. So thank you, St. Andrews.
Yeah, actually, you guys have donated so much money
Yeah.
and things and all that, and we are using every bit of it. We're
Yes. All of the churches, everybody that's
individuals,
connected with
churches.
us and individuals.
I mean,
We can't name you
Briarwood.
all. Yeah.
So
Thank
many,
you.
so many churches have done that, and we've really needed it. We've been using
Definitely.
it to buy diapers, and one of the big costs was buying these solar powered chargers for phones, because in a lot of areas that are hard hit by the war, they don't have power and they're not able to charge their cell phones. And you think, well, that's not necessarily a big deal, is it? But it is. We have to
Or
know.
soldiers on the field, right?
Yeah,
They're-
soldiers on the field. They have to communicate where they are, what they need, what kind of help they need. And so that's been a huge help. Thank you. We've actually got coming in the next couple of days, we've got some gas masks coming as well, because we're concerned that the Russian military will use gas weapons against.
Yeah, chemical weapons. We hope that they never have to be used, but we want them there as an option for. It's mostly for our congregation members, those that have been in the church community, and then some of the people that are serving in the territorial defense associated with our churches that we know. But family members and people, the solar chargers, some of them also doubled as radios, flashlights, high beam flashlights.
Right.
So we wanted them to be equipped in case there was some sort of an attack that disabled a lot of the infrastructure and threatened them. And gas masks were.
So that's been a lot of our work, is just helping people get settled, and then helping the people who are still in Ukraine, helping the people who are here. It's such a tight community. When they've been through so much, it's been a bonding experience. And we just had one lady and her daughter.
Sorry, Anya and Karina,
Karina,
her daughter Karina, yes. Little
who
4-year-old.
went on from here to Ireland, Northern Ireland. And while we're happy for her that she's found a place where she can go, it really was hard for the community. In church that day, everyone got together and prayed, and everyone was crying. And we took a bunch of them out afterwards, and we went and had lunch and walked through town and said goodbye to her. And it was really touching. I was surprised at how hard it hit everyone that someone in the community was leaving.
And her story was sad anyway. It was more of the feeling that this war had greatly affected their lives, because she and her husband both were from Crimea originally, and in 2014 they were pushed out of Crimea. Either adopt the new government there, the occupation there, or leave. And so they chose to leave. They resettled in Nikolaev.
And then had to flee again.
And then in
So they've had,
February.
just a few years, they've had to flee twice from the Russian military. And they just got to the point where they said, this is enough. Let's just leave, unless Russia attacks Ireland, which I hope not.
No, but it can affect such a greater sphere of the world.
And we've been able to focus, obviously, on ministering to them spiritually as well. One of the first things we did once we got our feet underneath us was to arrange for all these people to meet on Sundays for worship. And we're not a church. We didn't start a church. We just gathered at first, bring everyone together to pray together, to listen to a message from our pastors who are still in Ukraine, to sing a recorded message. And it started growing. More people were coming. And
they're going through the sermon series of Revelation, because all of us have felt kind of this keen awareness of tribulation, obviously, and signs that things are moving toward a plan and a purpose of God that is including suffering. Right. So this has been a comfort to us to hear from our pastors in Odessa at this point, going through the sermon series, and it's recorded each week. So
The reason that we came to
follow it.
Brasov was because we have an MTW Mission to the World team already here, and they are working with a church and an American pastor, PCA pastor in Kodlia. And the whole team has been wonderful helping us out with the refugees, the displaced. And the pastor comes once a month to our gathering and administers communion and gives a sermon. So it's growing. We actually, yesterday, we had people asking if they could join a membership class.
We're not a church.
We're not a church. So we're trying to figure out all that. We had someone
We're
ask
wondering, does that
to be
need to be the
baptized.
next step? Yes.
So we're wondering, how's this fit? Do we come under the care of a church in
Romanian
Ukraine or in Romania? And
Right.
so
So this is new territory for us.
we had to find a new place to meet that was larger, and now we're talking about even getting a larger space. So,
All right, not counting any of our actual missionary families or people there that are associated with the organization Mission to the World, we had 29 or 30, not counting children. I mean, that was the basic people that were sitting in the service yesterday, and some of the little kids were out doing activities during the service.
it's an important part, obviously, because most of the people that came out are from our churches. They're believers, and they desired that fellowship. And so now we're reaching out to those in our community, other Ukrainians.
Right, there's a whole building. I think that we were told there were 240 or something displaced Ukrainian
Right.
people there. A lot of them mothers with kids, but some elderly, a lot of aunts and moms that are gathered there.
Yeah. So it's exciting to see them reach out
Teenagers.
to people. Teenagers, actually, quite a few teenagers. We've been helping them. You know, they just started summer here. All their schools just ended online. So now they're looking around going, what are we going to do? So we've been involved with them along with the Brasov MTW team.
And the rest of our team, yeah.
Playing Frisbee with them. We started a ultimate Frisbee.
Well, we haven't started it. We joined one that was
joined,
here and invited Ukrainians, and there have been several of the Ukrainian teens that have really taken to that. So that's fun. But
Yeah.
Bob and one of our other team members, David Martin, have played on that. Derek Kreider from the Brasov team has been spearheading that whole thing, and we have people come and translate for them, and they're forming a kind of a little league.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
We're trying to put together some a summer challenge, things they can do while they're here, not just doing things and being entertained. You know, going on hikes with us so we can go deeper with them
Learning
one-on-one.
some outside skills like survival and outdoor skills. A couple of them have really asked for a Bible study. So our teammate Lauren is working on gathering them at her place each week, whether it's kind of a fun night like a film or a picnic time or game night or something. But she's also starting to put together some Bible studies there for them.
You guys have already
And we've already
a
been,
couple
yeah,
months.
since mid-March, I think. We started twice a week meeting with women in the community and asking them to come study the Bible. And we've looked at different topics, things about praying imprecatory prayers that curse your enemies, things that we were dealing with, how to identify who our real enemy is, looking at who Jesus really is, and the victory at the end of the world, how does that affect us right now who are going through this battle?
Yeah.
Lots of different, just praying psalms of grief and weeping together, asking for God's mercy on our beloved country next to us in Ukraine.
God has brought together all these people. This is what we feel like our ministry is now. This is our community. These are our people. Our job is to oversee them. In some ways, as a man, having all these women who have come over and their husbands are fighting and supporting the work in Ukraine, I feel like it's absolutely our responsibility now to watch over them, to be shepherds over them. So we are watching out for them. We're doing some fun things too. We took them to a beautiful, beautiful
If you're ever in Romania,
castle the other day.
go to Pelish
couple weeks
Castle.
ago. Pelish
Very
Castle.
beautiful. Look it up online, Peles.
And it's phenomenal. We rented a big bus and loaded up everybody and took them out and paid for them to just get away, from everything.
One of them actually had been here before, one of the Ukrainian friends, and she found a tour guide that she really enjoyed, and he spoke impeccable Russian to them
Yeah,
and
that was great.
did the whole tour in Russian for them. Took them along the way in the bus too to just talk about the countryside and the economics and the school system and the flora and fauna. I mean, it was really, really fabulous.
It was actually our second time being out there. About 8 years
Yeah,
ago,
we
we
had
were
been
out.
there.
We were out there. We had gone out there, and remember that I had posed with Iris next to this big statue.
Yeah, you can. We'll show you the picture, and you
Yeah.
can see the difference.
And we thought, oh, let's do it again 8 years later. And so
Yes.
she changed.
Yeah, but for them, it was a nice time, a respite from some of the daily cares and worries, and just to see something of the countryside that hasn't been spoiled by war. So many of them, each time that we meet together for Bible study or at church or just walking in the area where they're all situated, they tell about so this building that was bombed right down the street from where their family was gathered, or the school where some of them have studied is obliterated, and the windows have all been broken out. One of our friends was online and was in the middle of classes and heard a huge boom and a huge explosion through her classmates' Zoom, and then the class had to shut down, and they all had to go down into bomb shelters. So
We have a woman that's wanting to come out and join us if she can get transportation out. Extreme PTSD. Any noise, any kind of a bang
she's the
around
sister
her.
of one of the women that have been here.
She's been in Nikolaev and just constant bombing, just day and
And then
night.
she goes to Odessa to kind of escape that, and then Odessa starts getting bombed. So there's a lot of people with different temperaments and people with different levels.
The bells are ringing also in the church. Hey, look, and there's the Sukos. Hey, guys. But, and
It takes a toll.
It's strange because when we were in Odessa last time, it was quiet. It was beautiful. It was peaceful. 3 times the air raid sirens go off, and
Mostly
you
in
look
the middle of the
around,
night.
and no one really runs because they've gotten used to the sirens. But there's always that thought: what if? Is it just going to fly overhead, or is it going to land in the front yard, or hit our building? So it's a strange way to live.
Yeah, Bob was talking about the time that we went. We went at the end of May to take in some humanitarian aid. Actually, our goal was to go in there and bring a bunch of things that we had been gathering together, give them to our church leaders, and have them disperse it. At that time we didn't have medical equipment. We had some equipment, but not medicines, because that's harder to take in. You have to have prescriptions, and actually that happened another time that Bob picked up a huge 15
huge
duffel bags
of
of
humanitarian aid
medicines
that
and
came
things
from
that had to
Covenant.
be brought to the border. But we are in a situation where we were getting close to the time where we couldn't leave Romania because we're allowed 90 days tourist visa here without registering, and then after that we have to register. So we went into Odessa, we got some of our things and brought them back, and that was the last time we were able to leave the country. But we have been able, Bob has been able to meet people at the border, especially doctors from our Belgorod Distrovsky church that came from the clinic there and were able to pass through all of this medical equipment and then disperse it from there to the hospitals and places that need it.
Yeah. Do pray. Tomorrow we are trying to get our registration worked out.
It's the 110th day of the
By
war,
law?
which tells you that we've been here more than 90 days.
By law, you should have started the process
Yeah.
60 days
Yeah.
in and no later than 90 days in. But for reason after reason after reason, we were blocked and blocked and blocked from getting all the documents we needed. Finally, we got everything, but it's been 110 days.
Right, and our teammates also were delayed as well, just like us. So they received theirs. Actually, last week, 4 of them got their registrations. Everything's set up, and we'll follow them hopefully tomorrow morning, and then we'll go with our lawyer and present our documents and see if they take our last stamp as the official one. And if that's the case, then our little trip to Odessa was a godsend in another way, because that gave us a new stamp into Romania that they can count as our most recent.
We are also looking at what to do with Iris. So pray that we would have wisdom in where Iris will go to school next year.
It's her senior year.
It's her senior year. She would be interested in going to an American high school. There is a very small private school here in Brasov that she could go to.
And it would be in person. Her biggest caveat was, I don't want to be online again. She's had 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, as many of you know, interrupted by things like COVID, quarantine, sickness, but now war in our situation. And she needs probably one quiet, peaceful year, if that's possible.
We want her to start in a place where she'll be able to finish in person with, good programs
with other
and all
classmates,
that, other classmates. But that would mean us possibly being separated, while I would continue the work here, and either Iris and Andrea returning to the States for that. So
that's the big question now. Does she stay in Romania? Does she go to the States? And what does that look like for our family? That's a hard thing.
So in a nutshell, in a 23-minute nutshell, that's what we're doing these days. And we're grateful for your prayers, for your support, for your encouragement and your gifts, all of the things you guys are doing. No one expected that it was going to be like this, and we have no idea how long this is going to last. We have concerns that it would continue much longer and not just affect Ukraine, but affect the world globally.
Right, it's already not just affecting Ukraine.
Food shortages and more displaced people from Africa and the Middle East. So, there's lots to be praying for, and we're going to continue as long as we can. Oh, there's
our cat.
That just opened.
We did evacuate with our pets. So,
yeah, that's been fun.
If we did go to America, we would have to bring pets as well. That's another complication. But we do see how God has been putting together a plan through all of this, and honestly, seeing some of the lives of dear friends that we've already known from our community in Odessa, at least in our situation, through English Club or around the neighborhood, who came here, who knew us, and resettled here for a time to be in a safer environment. We have seen how God has brought them out of their comfort zones, out of their day-to-day in control of everything situation, and they are seeking God because they know that they're not in control. This is a very stark reminder that they're not in control, and they're looking for His purposes in this. I think humbly, for the first time, they are really open to what God is doing for them. So we pray for them. They're attending church, they're reading the Bible, they're studying with us. They're coming over for, just hanging out and having dinner and watching a movie here and there, or whatever, just to continue talking. But they always have these questions, spiritual questions. And for me, that is one of the only happy things that has come out of this tragic war, is seeing that God is still working deeply in the lives of people that we've been praying for months and years. That's such a testimony of His faithfulness. So thank you for praying with us. Thank you for supporting us here.
We know that God is in control. We know He's on the throne. We know He's working all this for His purposes. And we're just trusting in Him and continuing to labor.
Trying to follow.
Yeah, so thank you again. And sorry this is so long, but you can put us on 2 times and we'll sound like chipmunks, and you can
But you'll get the information.
Go right through it. So, you guys take care. God bless. We love you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
God bless you.
Печалі, сльози наші зітреш, ти є добрий татко, ти такий, ти такий, ти такий, ти любиш мене, таким як є, таким як є.
Oh, no, the first minute wasn't.
What?
I think we started over.
I'm waiting here for some popcorn.
I'll leave that in there.
Oh yeah, okay.
What? Pop your head down. There you go.